G'day, how are you doing? Hopefully doing very well, keeping healthy and safe. I'm doing pretty sweet on this side of the desk. Today we are having a look at this Acer TravelMate B514. It's a 14-inch laptop and it is targeted towards the K-12 sector. Now, for those that are unfamiliar, here in Australia, the K-12 sector is between grade 1 to grade 12. So that's the primary and high school students. So this is targeted towards the high school students. So this is made tougher than the usual laptop. Now, this does house the 12th gen Intel Core, and this one here I do have is the i3 version that I'm testing out. And well, I'm going to give you a little bit of spoiler. I actually quite like it. Now, we are going to have a look at the temperatures and fan noise, some of the features, and we'll also have a quick peek at the internals. And as always, I will be putting timestamps along this video so you can skip to a different section to save you time. The display is a 14-inch Full HD IPS display. It has a maximum brightness rating of 250 nits and it has a matte anti-glare finish to the display. Measuring the color gamma coverage of the Full HD display, it resulted with 60.1% sRGB coverage, 41.7% Adobe RGB coverage, and 42.8% DCI-P3 coverage. This is recording from the 720p webcam with TravelMate. This is recording itself a lot of noise. Now I've got a vacuum cleaner on my right hand side, and we just want to see how the noise rejection from this webcam. Definitely love to hear what your thoughts are. Comment below. There are two speakers located in the middle on either side of the keyboard. When I test out the maximum volume of the speakers, it managed to measure a peak of 79.6 decibels. I would consider this not really in the loud range. I would say this is on the upper end of the quietness compared to other laptops. Now, as for the sound quality, there is not much bass. It's pretty heavy in the mids and highs. It is balanced towards the mids, and we do have a bit of a hollow sounding, but the clarity is good. The keys on the keyboard is quite large compared to other 14-inch laptops, and we have quite a lot of key travel, which is really nice as it has quite a nice bounce back or recall back after pressing each key. Now I do have what I call a little bit more rougher surface on the texture of each surface of the keys, and they have very nice spacing in between. If you or your child have actually spilt liquid on the keyboard, don't worry, Acer's got you covered. They've actually included some drainage holes. They're actually free drainage holes on the bottom side of the laptop, as these are the liquid drainage holes for the keyboards. Good to see they've actually added this feature. The touchpad's made of recycled ocean-bound plastics. Now, Acer calls this the Ocean Glass Touchpad. Now, just like its name says, it does have this glass, silky, smooth feel to the texture of the touchpad, and it is very responsive and it is mechanical as well. So it's hinged at the top, you can depress it as you move way down. Now, unlike other touchpads I've used before, this one has quite a lot of travel for depressing of the touchpad. And it's also multi-gesture support as well. The weight of the TravelMate B514 is 1.67 plus the 45 watt power adapter becomes a combined weight of 1.94 kilos that you might be carrying around with you. The TravelMate B514 comes with a 50 watt-hour battery, and I managed to get 5 hours and 32 minutes on the Modern Office battery life test in PC Mark 10, 2 hours and 20 minutes for gaming, and 5 hours and 29 minutes for video playback. Looking at temperatures and fan noise, when I took my measurements, my ambient temperature in the room was 21 degrees Celsius, and the ambient room noise measured in at 35 decibels. Now, as always, just to give you an idea of how hot or how cool this laptop could be, your average hand is anywhere between 33 to 35 degrees Celsius. So I took my base measure when the computer was idle, and the hottest area around the keyboard measured a maximum of 30 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, hit a maximum of 35 decibels. So practically silent, and the average internal core temperature was 37 degrees Celsius. Then I put 20% load on the computer. That's pretty much average use, so it's tasks like office productivity work, surfing web, streaming videos, and the hottest area around the keyboard measured a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, again, it stayed at 35 decibels, so still practically silent, and the average internal core temperature was 38 degrees Celsius. Then I put 50% load on the computer, and the hottest area around the keyboard measured a maximum of 34 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, it spun all the way up to a maximum of 39 decibels, and the average internal core temperature was 57 degrees Celsius. Then I put 100% load on the computer, maxing it all out, and the hottest air around the keyboard measured a maximum of 42 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, hit a maximum of 44 decibels, and the average internal core temperature was 64 degrees Celsius. Also measured the bottom back cover while I had 100% load on all the system resources, and the hottest area around the back cover measured a maximum of 47 degrees Celsius. Even though you see on the thermal images that there is a hotter area, but that's really shooting directly at the heat pipes. Now comes for my torture test. Now this whole thing is built on plastic. It's actually really toughened plastic, I've got to say. What there is nice about this is they've actually put some effort into all the edges to actually get this really extra durability, so in case it goes from falls and stuff like that. So Acer have actually put a whole entire little edges around this, just more harder plastic just to take on those big drops and falls. So that's nice to see. Now we're going to do a good old bend test here now. Oh wow, that is really tough. Oh, bending is hard, very hard work from this thing here, I've got to say. Now what we're actually going to do, we're going to just do the quick one finger test for the hinge to see how that runs. And it does grip quite a bit, and still not, I'm able to still make it all the way through, and we can do it all the way to 180 degrees. So that's nice, but of course, once you get to around about, I would say, about 100 degrees, and it starts going past that, it does use the bottom part of the other side of the lid to actually lift the actual bottom of the laptop up. And now this is just to give you more ergonomics for bring the keyboard up a little bit slight, just a little bit better angle, but really it's really for the breathe holes at the bottom of the laptop so I can breathe in, suck in the cool air. And of course we're gonna have to do the, that is, it's got very nice structure to the keyboard. So there's not that much flex on the keyboard. It's got very good structure. Now again, like I said, all this is made of, I don't really make it any easier, plastic just to make it easier, but it's polycarbonate. So, but really the actual texture is really, what I like to say, more that rough, and like you can actually, it's really durable over long periods of time. For this, I can just see this last many years. Just the texture, it's got a lot of bit of grip there, so for the kids not to actually slip on. And actually, the actual texture of the actual top as well, you've got this nice little very graded thing. It's really nice looking as well. So that doesn't get that much finger marks, and the bottom case is always the usual. Now on the top left of the top cover, you actually see a status light. Acer have built this with 4 different color lights. Now this is very useful for not only the user, but for the educator or the teacher, actually have a monitoring about the laptop. So the 4 colors it could be, at the moment you'll see it in green, which means it's got Wi-Fi on and it is connected to the internet. Now it can also be in blue in color. Now that means it's got about anywhere between 67 or to 100%. Now that means it's not connected to Wi-Fi neither, or connected to the internet. Now also can go yellow light, and that means it's anywhere between 67% to 35%. And then it can also go red light. Now this means pretty much from 0 to 34%. So basically get a charge soon. It's running low on battery. And when it's definitely blinking, you're definitely very low on battery. So it's nice to see that they've actually built in a status light for the educator to have a look so they can monitor what's happening on the laptop. Here's the benchmarks performed on the TravelMate B514. Here's the results of Passmark, Citybench R23, PCMark, 3DMark, Geekbench, Crystal Disk Mark, Procon Office, Procon Video Edit, Pugin Photoshop, Pugin Premiere Pro, Blender, Crossmark, and Eugene Engine. Let's have a look at internals. First off is the 50 watt-hour battery at the bottom. Underneath this black tape is the battery connector. So you need to disconnect the battery if you're working inside the computer, or if you are doing power or battery diagnostics, this is the battery connector here. Now above that on the left hand side is the Bluetooth Wi-Fi module. This does have Wi-Fi 6, and on the right hand side of this is memory heat shielding. Now this is for the memory or the RAM. Now this is not that they've actually added the shielding for that, and as you see this, the memory is soldered to the system board, so you can't upgrade this later on. It is 8 gigs here. Now on the right hand side of the battery, you'll find the M.2 NVMe slot. Now this is for the storage, and as you can see, this is a 2280 format, so you can upgrade it later on. That's good to see. And pretty much we've got a single heat pipe for the processor, and we've got a single system fan, and that's pretty much about it. Overall, Acer had put all your basics and just gone a little bit beyond what I would expect for a basic laptop. Now we've got a decent keyboard which actually has some very durability and making it very easy to service. We also have a decent webcam, a decent display, good selection of ports, and it's got a bit of a ruggedness just for the students to basically bang around with. Now, what I was very surprised by the most is actually the responsiveness of this i3 in this Acer TravelMate B5. I normally see this i3s and yeah, it's alright, but this one here was very responsive. I didn't feel it was slow or lacking at all. The actual fact that it was able to even do some video editing, actually produce a benchmark score, was actually the biggest surprise for me. Normally it just fails because of the system rules, and this was able to complete it and still give me a score. That means it was able to still do some video editing on this i3. Fantastic there. But overall, it's actually rare, and seriously, the price is absolutely fantastic on this Acer TravelMate B5. Now, I hope you find this video informative or enjoyed it. If you did, even support my channel, smash that like button for me. Share this video, it does help me out as well. And as always, imperfections in life makes it beautiful and interesting. And I'll see you next video.